my god, I finally just got a match on Tinder. But I can't see who it is? I have to pay in order to see my match? That's so dumb. Wait, but this might be the love of my life waiting for me. Okay, fine. Let's pay for the premium and see who it is. Relationships have been a part of human life for pretty much all of our existence. Whether it's a nice loving connection, a toxic mess, someone else using you for their own gain, finding the one, situationships, I mean the list goes on. However, the main reason for relationships even existing is so that we can reproduce and continue to live as a species. Or you can also sum it up to just our survival. But as the times have changed and technology has evolved, so have the ways we interact, meet, and treat others. Dating is not the same as what it used to be. You know, back in the day, people would get together and then they would likely stay together for like 40, 50 years. Take a lot of old people, for example, you know? Like you'll see a bunch of old people who are still married so many years down the line. If they're not married, maybe it's not because they got a divorce, but maybe because like they're just so old that their partner died. That's kind of sad to think about, but anyways, you know, because whatever happened to, you know, the gentleman, of course, that's not to say that it's not around anymore. There still are people that are very well mannered. However, what I'm saying is you don't really see too many people nowadays doing small things, you know, like holding open the door open for their partner, pulling out the chair for them in a restaurant, opening the door for them for the car, you know, little things like that, like little gestures to show that you have good manners. I feel like a lot of that is lost nowadays, especially since like the influx of more fatherless children, you could say. I don't say that to be like condescending at all. What I'm saying is a lot of people that grew up without a father, a lot of them just, you know, obviously didn't have a father figure. So that means like, you know, maybe they weren't taught the right manners. They weren't taught how to like treat a girl right. And now when I talk about back in the day, I don't mean like, I'm not talking about like the 50s where it's like, oh my gosh, how dare you, wife? This is not cooked perfectly. You know, that's not what I mean. What I mean is like, I'm talking about how well they were mannered, you know? Holding the door open for another person, you know, as like a kind, good manner, like a good gesture. You know, pulling the table out for a girl, paying the check in full for a date. Because I swear, dude, there's so many more people now that are like either making the girl pay or just splitting the bill. And it's like, dude, if you do that, you're stupid. Don't fucking do that. A lot of the time, if you split the bill with the person you're going on a date with, more likely than not, you're not getting a second date. All right, let's be honest here. So many things have changed with dating in the modern world. Prime example is how people meet nowadays. You know, a lot of people, they would meet either at work or a friend group or a friend of a friend or a family member introduced them to something, or maybe they would just meet them out in the wild, you know, like, oh, hello stranger, stuff like that. That's not to say that that doesn't still happen now, because it very much does. But what I'm saying is it doesn't happen as often now, you know? You'll go outside, right? And everyone is like pretty much to themselves, you know? You'll try to talk to someone, their head will just be like down, you know? They don't want to like talk to anyone, which is perfectly fine. However, when it's literally everyone on the street, it's kind of a problem. Now, of course, there can be multiple reasons for that. If you look like the Grinch, then obviously probably no one wants to talk to you. But what I'm saying is that I see this a lot, you know, like when you go to a public gym or like a commercial gym, it's like I try to talk to someone or I'll ask them like, hey, how many sets do you have left? They almost seem like shocked. It's like, oh my gosh, what? Someone is talking to me. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. It's like, no. And then they realize that I'm actually just asking them like, oh, he's just asking a question. Oh yeah, this is how much I have left. Like, oh great. But a lot of it now is that a lot of people are too scared to talk to each other. I don't know where this came from or why. I'll be doing something, I'll be using something, and then like I'll see in the corner of my eye that someone else needs to use it. Like I'm just kind of half expecting them to come up to me and ask like, oh hey, like when are you done using that thing? But then they just kind of stand there very creepily or in a creepy way and just not asking at all. And it just makes me wonder, like, why is everyone so afraid to talk to each other? Is it the news, you know? Because like when you look in the news, a lot of the time it's like, this person died right next to your area, stay safe, or this kid was kidnapped, or maybe even like the economy is down, everyone save yourself, brace for impact, you know, stuff like that. It's always a lot of that on the news. So maybe people just see that and they're like, oh my gosh, everyone must be like a serial killer or something. Like, no, they're not. I don't understand where that came from. So what I'm getting at is the way people meet each other is changing a lot, you know, because with the rise of social media and everything, like dating apps like Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, or maybe not even dating apps like Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Discord, a lot of people don't meet each other through traditional means anymore. It's a lot of it is just a connection built online, and then they meet each other in person, which is quite strange. This isn't me saying that meeting people online is a bad thing, because I mean, hey, if you meet people online, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is it's so much more different now today from how people meet each other versus back then. It's quite an unnatural way of meeting, you know? Because, you know, many years ago, how we used to meet each other, it's like either we worked alongside each other, we were in school, we were friends, it was a family friend, either we met through family. How our minds work is that we judge someone within like a split second of seeing them, you know? Like here, for example. Now, I don't know what the heck I just flashed on screen, but whatever it was, you saw it and you already made a judgment just like that. See, that's how quick it happens. Now, that's fine and all. That's perfectly fine. But what I'm getting at here is with the rise of, you know, the internet in general and everything, how people meet, you know, through dating apps, stuff like that, for like meeting your partner, maybe even meeting a friend. What I'm saying is that when we judge people so quickly just based off that, just based off looks, it gets to like such a crazy degree of chaos, you know? Prime example, just dating apps in general. When you just have someone's looks to go off of and whatever words they typed in their bio, it tends to get like such crazy results, because when you have such an array of options, you don't have to get to know someone, you know? You don't have to get to see the beauty in someone, because since we judge people within like a split second, a lot of the time we don't get to see the beauty in other people, you know? Like someone's personality, stuff like that, because either we'll just brush them off or I don't know, just like completely ignore them. So you never know. You'll see someone online and they could be in your area, and maybe that could be your next best friend. That could be like your lifelong friend, like your ride or die buddy. But since nowadays a lot of people have just reduced the way that they meet people to like a simple swipe on the screen, that chance is often missed out upon now, you know? And with how the internet is, it's so weird because right now I'm speaking to a camera, you know? But to a lot of people, they could see it as me speaking directly to them, you know? I'm speaking to you right now. I may not be able to see you, but I'm speaking directly to you right now. But then that also brings me to like another point. It's like parasocial relationships. Point in case, like YouTube channels, you know? When we were younger, we would like go on YouTube and we would watch our favorite YouTuber and we would feel like, oh my gosh, this is like my best friend, even though they've never met you or seen you, let alone even know that you exist. So a lot of the time when people would go to like these meetups for like these big creators, they would come up, meet them and be like, oh my gosh, man, you're like my idol. That person, the fan coming up to them, knows everything about them. But what makes it so crazy is that the creator doesn't know anything about that person. So from the creator's perspective, it's literally a situation of you don't know anyone, but everyone knows you. And so another case of people being so quick to judge and everything, I mean, that's human nature, but other than dating apps and online in general, Instagram comments, like I swear, I'll scroll on a video and you'll see someone and then people will just be making like the most random comparisons or assumptions about someone that they'll never meet in person probably in their entire life. I was talking to one of my coworkers the other day and he's like quite a bit older than me. He's got like at least 10 years on me. But what he was telling me about the exact point that I made earlier, is that the way people meet is so weird, because how he would meet people, you know, he would form a genuine connection. He would go up to them and talk to them. So like, hey, how are you? Like, how's your day? Like, oh shoot, that's so cool. We have that in common. Here, why don't we like exchange numbers and then meet each other? Stuff like that. And you know, that was how he met like his girlfriend, a lot of his friends, stuff like that. But he was telling me about like his younger brother, who's just a little bit younger than him by like a few years. How he was meeting people was just through like dating apps in general. When meeting someone online, you really don't have like the best judgment of someone, you know? Because how it was before, you know, you'd meet someone, it's like, oh, okay, this is this person. You see them exactly for like what they are. Of course, you may not know them like deep down inside, like how they are as a person in general, unless you've known them for many years, of course. But when you just meet someone, it's a bit different. But you can at least see them physically in person, like right in front of you. Like you can get a sense of kind of like what they are, how they are, like body language, how they're reacting to how you're speaking to them. But when you reduce that to online, it becomes so much more different and dangerous, you know? You'll see some of these stories of people meeting someone that they met online and then maybe they get kidnapped or murdered or these really terrible, heinous things, you know? Now, going back to my point earlier, what happened to genuine connections, you know? How our parents would meet, or how most people's parents would meet each other, you know? They would meet each other maybe from a family member or a friend of a friend or at the workplace, like out in public in general, stuff like that. That's how most people would meet each other back in the day. And then if they liked the person enough, they would get together and that would be their partner because they formed a genuine connection rather than just like, oh, you look pretty, all right, I'm gonna date you. What happened to people liking each other for them, for liking them as a person, for how they are? Two people being actually compatible with each other. And that's not to say that that doesn't happen now, but what I'm saying is you don't see it as often. You know, when divorce rates were way lower than what they are now, I know it's more than 50% now. They gotta be upwards of like 70% nowadays, which is crazy because you typically wouldn't hear about people getting divorced a lot of the time, like many years ago. I don't know why. I say that like if I was alive back then. I wasn't. I just say this as like from an observer's perspective, someone who's just like looking at it. Because you see a lot of old couples, they'll be together many, many years down the line. Like they'll be together for 10, 20, 30, 40, maybe even like 50 years. That's how my grandparents are, at least. In fact, it's crazy to say that I'm lucky that I even get to know them, or the fact that I even have grandparents in general. I'm very grateful for that, but that's not the point right now. The point is that with dating apps, how we meet people, online dating, stuff like that in general, it's so weird. It's so unnatural, you know? It's such an unnatural way of meeting people. And you know, when you have very unnatural environments or circumstances, you tend to get very unnatural results. I even did 2 experiments on this, where one day I decided it would be really funny if I just went on dating apps as like a really hot MILF versus a really hot chat, like a really attractive dude. And it was quite interesting because I talked about it in a different video, but pretty much here's the rundown. So pretty much I went on dating apps as a MILF, and then I got a ton of matches super quickly, like not even an hour. I had already filled the bar so high. It was like every single dude wanted me. With that sounds really weird. No, that's not what I meant. They wanted that. Now versus the Chad, I got a lot of matches, but not as much as the MILF. But even then, with the Chad that I did the experiment with, that leads me back to what I was just talking about. When you have such an unnatural situation, circumstances, you know, how we judge people so quickly on everything rather than getting to know them, when you just reduce it to a simple swipe on the screen, you tend to get unnatural results when you have such unnatural circumstances for things. Point in case, look at this study right here. Let's say you're like a 6 out of 10 guy on dating apps. You'd be lucky if you'd even get like 5 matches, 10 matches a day. And even then, for a guy, that's a lot. Now, if you're an 8 out of 10, it goes up a little bit, but even then, it's still not that much. You're lucky if you even get past like 30 matches in general. I mean, obviously that really just depends on the area you live in. Now, let's say you're a 10 out of 10. The 10 out of 10 gets everyone. I mean, it's so bizarre because it's so, I don't know, I'm trying to figure out how to put this into words. What I'm trying to say is the online world, the world that we live in right now, the digital age, it's so rigged against us with all this unnatural stuff. You have these people that are super lonely, you know. A lot of people now are like too socially anxious to go out and meet people. Even then, like meeting up with someone online is so scary for a lot of people, and that's really explainable because you never know what someone can be. You don't know if the person you're gonna meet up with is like a creep, a murderer, serial killer, or if they're like a genuine person, like a good friend or possibly potential partner. You really don't know, and that's what's so scary about it. Now, a lot of people take this to the extreme, or maybe they don't even just have a choice. They don't have a choice at all. Maybe you're someone that's chronically online. And that brings me to another point. A lot of people, since they're so lonely nowadays, a lot of people are too scared to go out and do anything. A lot of people just turn to online dating, you know, long distance dating, online dating someone from another country or even like another continent in general. Now, this isn't me saying, grr, online relationship bad. Because I mean, if you're in an online relationship and you're happy with it, then hey, more props to you. What I'm saying is I personally just can't do online relationships. It's just not for me. Now, say what you will about that. I'm just going off like the facts. It doesn't work. Like, it never works out. Now, of course, you can argue with me like, oh, what do you mean? This person and this person were online daters and then it worked out for them. Okay, that's great. Good for them. But what I'm saying is most of the time, more likely than not, it's not gonna work out. And it never does, really. I don't say that to be like rude or evil. I'm just saying that as like a general statement. Like, this is typically what you see. Now, I don't know if anyone else notices this either, but like the more and more you scroll online, at least in my experience, the harder and harder it is to kind of like socialize with people, because I feel like what it does is that it makes us so tired. You know, you'll have a day where you just like doom scroll. You do literally nothing all day but just like scroll on something, whether it's YouTube, Insta, TikTok, Twitter, even like whatever it is. Like, you'll spend the entire day doing that, and when you do that, this is just like from my personal experience, it's like it becomes so much harder to do anything or like really even socialize with people, because it's so draining for whatever reason. But I think it even like causes a whole cycle, you know, because, you know, like I said earlier with like the news media, you know, all this stuff like that, you see all these people doing a bunch of things. You'll see like some horrendous shit online. Like you'll see some heinous things, some heinous crimes. I don't know why Instagram really loves promoting that. Like for whatever reason, I don't know why. Like it was like about a month or two ago, Instagram was just like recommending, maybe even still now, but like Instagram would just recommend people dying for whatever reason. I don't know why there were just so many fatalities on Instagram. Like you'd open the app and then you'd see someone just die immediately. I don't know why. Probably because like it drives engagement. So then even then, that's a whole cycle in itself, because like you see that, then people comment, and then it drives up engagement, so then it boosts the video up even more, driving more people to comment to it and react to it like, oh my gosh, this is terrible, driving more engagement, so then it gets recommended to even more people. So then it's like, it's an entire cycle. That might be why. But then again, it's also like, why doesn't Instagram censor it? I don't know. That's a question for the mod team themselves. But then with that happening, that instills like a lot of fear into people. I think that might be also like, not solely Instagram, but I feel like that might be a reason why, or one of the reasons why it's like so many people are afraid to talk to everyone nowadays. You know, when you have the news telling you that like everyone's a murderer, someone just like your next door neighbor just died, someone died across the street, the economy is bad, someone got kidnapped, you know, it makes you think that like, oh my gosh, everyone out here sucks, everyone is like out to get me. So then it leads a lot of people to just like not really socialize, you know. So then you have a lot of people that are lonely, you know. You turn to online, you turn to online friends, and I'm not saying this like if I haven't fallen victim to this too, because I used to be chronically online at one point in my life. I think a lot of us were, especially like during COVID. We really didn't have an option. It was either watch movies, scroll, or be bored all day and do nothing. I think a lot of people really just haven't recovered from that, because you see it a lot now. It's like a lot of people from before the pandemic versus now, it's like a lot of people just don't speak with each other. So then you have this lonely crisis of incels rising. The statistics for guys being virgins by the age of 18 is like rising. Now that's not to say that being a virgin is a bad thing. Listen, if you want to wait for that right someone to lose it with, then abso-freaking-lutely do that. I more applaud to you. But if you've seen this video, then you'll know that I wasn't really one of those people, sadly. But it's too late now. Can't really change the past. All we can really do is just move on. But what I'm saying is that a lot of people are just so lonely nowadays. So a lot of people just like turn to online friends, you know, speaking to people online. Because at least when you're at least speaking to someone online, you're in the comfort of your own home, you know. You're not worried about how that person is like thinking of you right now if you're on a voice call. What I mean is like in terms of looks, they're not judging you off that. They're solely judging you based off your character, how you're treating them in that moment, like how you're talking. So that leads to just like online communities, you know, people being in community online. Now that's not a bad thing at all. However, what I'm saying is that when that's the only thing you have, and that's kind of how it is for a lot of people, when that's the only thing you have is online community, you tend to think like, why would I socialize with people outside when I can just like do it from the comfort of my own home? And of course you can do that, but then you don't form the deep, meaningful, like soul bond with someone, you know? You don't truly get to know them as a person, like how they are. I say this because I used to have this friend online that I considered to be my ride or die best friend. Like the type of friend you share everything with. And I even met up with him in real life. For 2 years, he was like a brother to me, until one day I found out that he was actually a creep preying on girls younger than him. And you bet his ass got blocked instantly, which is another reason why I don't really open up to people very often anymore or trust anyone very easily. Now that's not to say that like it's over for you, you know? Of course, with the whole like dating app thing, if you're an average guy, no, that doesn't mean it's over for you. There's definitely a lot of ways that you can like find someone, you can find your partner. But what I will say, the dark truth of it, and the dark truth of the world that we live in, is that if you're unattractive, it's gonna be a lot more difficult to find someone. But that's kind of how it's been for all of time. So. But what I'm saying is that it's not over for you. There's a lot of ways you can improve, that you can change how people perceive you, you know? Because like I said, with the rise of social media, what you can do, it's really easy to just like manipulate people. Not in a bad way, but I mean like in a more positive light, you know? Because with Instagram and stuff, it can either be like your doom, your demise, like doomed to scrolling Instagram, or it can be used as a tool to like really help you out, because you can post something to Instagram and completely portray like a different version of you to other people. Because like if you look at my Instagram, you'd think I'm like some explorer, like a hiker, someone who explores, gets out there and stuff like that. And that's not to say that I'm not, because I do like really going out there. But you see it a lot with Instagram influencers, you know, because they'll portray like this perfect life. You know, a lot of people that go to Dubai, they'll portray this perfect life on you, like everything is perfect, nothing is wrong. If you look into stuff of what really goes on over there, it's like you kind of figure out it's not really as it is. It's kind of just an illusion, but that's the thing. You can kind of use that illusion to really help you out in your own favor with how people see you and stuff like that. Maybe that'll even like portray to your future wife, like, oh man, this is a cool person. Let's DM him. Then you got all these big booty Latinas in your DMs. I don't freaking know. I'm making up a scenario of theoretically what could happen and what will happen if you do. Obviously, a lot of guys don't know how to like take good pictures. Now, if you improve that, you know, you can literally go from like a 4 out of 10 to like a solid 7 or 8 with like really good photos. And especially like with the rise of the looks maxing trend, it's like a lot of people are finding out more and more ways to improve themselves. Like, it's not over for you. There's a lot of things that you can do. And even like meeting people in real life, it's not over. Like, you can still do that. Like, it's still very possible to do that. You know, a lot of people meet each other through traditional means still nowadays. Though it may not be as common, it still is a thing that happens. You know, point in case, school friends. You know, you meet a lot of friends at school. Now, whether you still continue to talk to them after school, that's an entirely different thing, but still. Or even like the workplace, you know, you'll meet someone, you'll probably think like, oh, this person is a douche, this guy sucks. But then you get to know them, then once you get to know their character, like how they actually are truly as a person, then it becomes way different. Like, oh man, you know what, dude, you're actually really cool. Stuff like that. You see all this stuff in dating with all these unnatural things, you get unnatural results. I think that's a lot of the thing with even like that whole trend a few months ago where it's like the 666, 6 figures, 6 feet, 6 inches, you know, stuff like that. Where it's like, if you're under 6 foot, screw you, you're worthless, you're ugly, you get out of here, you're never gonna find someone, which I think that's really dumb. Because even then, it affected me too. Because I even made a video about it, how I wasn't happy with like being a shorter guy. Because obviously, if you look at pictures of me, it's not hard to tell that I'm not a tall guy. In fact, I'll even say I'm 5'6". A lot of people would look at that and be like, oh my gosh, it's over. No, I'm 5'6". I'm not 6 foot. No, you know, seeing that along with like the rise of like this trend of pretty much dissing people who aren't 6 foot. It's like height matters so much But when you take yourself out of that, you realize it really doesn't matter at all. Especially in that video, I was like, guys, this is how I'm gonna change my height. I'm gonna get taller. Spoiler alert, it didn't work. I later took that video down because I realized just how stupid it was. Because I only made that video out of like, pretty much out of insecurity. Because I was like, man, all the insecure people are gonna watch this and get views. And it's really stupid because it's so dumb when I look at it now. I honestly regret making that video. It was so stupid. When you realize that a lot of the stuff you see on social media is just a little bull. It's just shit. It's not real. It's really uplifting because when I finally like stopped being insecure about my height, really, then I realized it really just didn't matter at all. I started pulling hard. Like even then, I'm talking to someone right now. A lot of guys are so lonely because of like what they see online, where it's like you're pretty much told that you're worthless if you're not like exceptional, you know? Whereas back in the day, that was like non-existent, you know? If you're an average looking guy, if you were like okay looking, like you'd be pulling like pretty much everyone. But nowadays, it's like if you like manage to go out with a girl like from a dating app, this is not all of them, but in some cases it can be to where it's like, you're not who I thought you were. You're not making 6 figures. You don't drive a Lambo. You didn't take me out to like an expensive dinner. You didn't buy me like all this, like these dresses, stuff like that. It's like, that used to be so uncommon. But now obviously like people like that, those are like materialistic girls. Those are gold diggers, you can say. But I feel like it's become more common nowadays because with dating apps, right? If you're a girl, like you have it so much easier than what you think. I even made a whole video about it. And that's not to say like, oh my gosh, incel talking, what? Get out of here, you suck. No, because I'll even prove it to you right now. Like, look, there's so many experiments, right? Where, okay, let's take a Chad. Let's see how many matches he gets. All right, that's quite a lot of matches. Now let's take an ugly person. Ew, get out of here. You're gonna get nothing. And then they just like, they outmatch the Chad. They get like 3 times the amount. And it's like, what? What happened? Now this isn't like me going like, oh man, women are bad. Get out of here. No. First of all, that's not what I'm saying at all. Second of all, what I'm saying is it just gives people like an ego boost, you know? Because like, let's say for example, you know, like you're a guy and then you go on an app and then you're rated like a 9 out of 10, a 10 out of 10. Like, whoa, what? It's It's probably gonna boost your ego a bit. Now imagine you can go on a dating app as a girl and then have like this abundance of options. People saying like, oh my gosh, you're beautiful. You are beautiful. When you really didn't think you were that good looking before. Now having like all these people saying like you're pretty and stuff like that, you know, that would probably boost your ego a bit. Now, of course, I'm not saying this is everyone. A lot of the time now, this is why you see a lot of the girls online who think they're hot shit, you know? You see the clips where it's like the really obese person saying like, I'm a 10 out of 10. I deserve a multi-millionaire. And then they're like, okay, what can you do to provide? It just kind of like skews everything. So then you have a lot of these people on dates. Now, I'm not saying this is everyone because there's certainly like really high quality women out there. I'm not denying that at all. I've talked to a few to where it's like, man, it's like, wow, you are amazing, stuff like that. What I'm saying is that you have a lot of these girls who expect so highly of everyone now because of like this new thing. Let's say you take like a 5 out of 10 girl, right? Then they start getting all these matches on Tinder and Bumble, Hinge, stuff like that. And then it's like, wow, you know what? Maybe I'm actually an 8. So then it just kind of skews everything. I'm probably going to make like an entirely different video on that subject. But another thing is that I'm starting to hear about a lot more older people just not wanting to get into another relationship, you know? It's like I've been hearing like some of my coworkers saying, if I break up with my partner right now, I'm never gonna date anyone again because I'm not gonna find anyone. Now, of course, that's their own choice. If you want to do that, then sure, go ahead, go for it. But I feel like it's kind of just sad. You're just limiting yourself. You're kind of like shooting yourself in the foot because a lot of people, they'll say that with the expectation of just like, oh, we're gonna be together forever. But then what if that unexpected situation happens? Like, what if you do out of nowhere break up, you know? Because it's always a possibility. Like, anything is possible. It's like, I don't get it. There's 8 billion people on this planet right now. Surely it's possible to find someone else that you can be with, but some people just don't want to try because they feel like, oh man, that was the one. I'm never gonna find anyone who gets me or understands me like that ever again. Surely there's someone out there for you, you know? There could be that one person that you've just never met yet. Maybe the only reason you think that for that other person that you loved so much is because maybe it was just the most convenient option. Like they were right there next to you your whole life and you just weren't exposed to like the vast array of people out there just like waiting for you. And then you see like the rise of like passport bros. So if you don't know what that is, basically what passport bros are, it's these guys that think, oh man, I can't find a girlfriend in my country. Screw this. I'm going somewhere else. Somewhere in Asia, Europe, Thailand, and then they find a woman over there. Now, of course, if you want to do that, go for it. Go ahead. At the end of the day, it's your life. That's what I mean. It's like a lot of people just aren't exposed to a vast array of people. Now, with online, this can be used for you. Like I said, it's not over for you. You can use this to like win nowadays. So like I said earlier, with Instagram, you can show the best qualities. And with dating apps, a lot of people don't really know how to do this. Some people, right, they'll use a dating app and it's like, I'm gonna put ugly pictures of myself, and if people don't like it, then that means they can't handle me at my best, which I think is really fucking stupid because the whole point of dating apps is to show the best version of you. You're trying to show yourself off as a package. Like, this is what you're gonna get into. If you get with me, you're gonna live this life. That's what you should be showing to people. And that leads me back to Instagram, because it's like, it's an entire thing that can literally just help you, because you can portray this life. You know, you'll talk to someone on a dating app, maybe you take some of your amazing photos from Insta and use it on a dating app. Now, I'm not saying if you don't want to use dating apps, then all right, then of course you don't have to. But I'm saying with how the market is shifting and how everything is moving nowadays, like how a lot of people meet now is online. You can complain about it, or you can play the game and win. Show off the absolute best version of yourself. Then people are like, whoa, man, that's so cool. Let me be your friend, or like, please, we need to go on a date with each other. Stuff like that. And it all comes down to like learning to take better photos. When I learned to take like better photos of myself, I started getting like a lot more attention from people. You know, a lot of people took me more seriously. More people that you meet, and then more people DMing you, like asking you like, oh, whoa, man, that's so cool. Like, how do you do stuff like that? So how it is nowadays, it can work with you in 2 different ways. Either it can work against you and it ruins your life, or it can work for you and it changes your life for the better.
LeBron James, scream if you love